views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Mastered your wellness. When you become so resilient, you can conquer any hiccup life throws you. Yeah, well, me either. But I still ride unicorns. I'll teach you how to become a mindset master. You will learn how your habits and behavior affect your success of nutrition, exercise, relationships, organization, and so much more. It's your reality, and you need to do it your way. Self-care and self-love are anything but selfish. Take charge, get excited. If not now, then when? Grab your espresso and get ready to talk all things wellness. It's time for Coach, Couch, and Coffee Radio with Coach Peggy Willms right now.
Hey, you guys, I'm just sitting here jamming to my little intro music that sped up and slowed down. I just love it. So, hey, listen, welcome to Coach, Couch, and Coffee Radio here on Transformation Talk Radio. Oh my gosh, it's a new day. It's Monday night, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. We are going to talk about a really cool subject tonight that I'm having nightmares about still. I've been doing this for more than a minute. It's still bugging me. So we're going to chat about it. But I wanted to let you know we get together on coffee time for those of you driving around or just listening to the podcast. And I always say, I have my coffee mug, my unicorn coffee mug. And I always say in my intro that everything's tough in wellness, right? We don't have it all figured out. But I still ride unicorns. I say that not to be like, everything's wonderful, but you guys have to find the positive side of life at some point in time, or we would be all in a corner rocking back and forth, depressed every day of our lives. So I want you to think about this exercise sucks topic that we're going to chat about today. Try to spin it in a positive way. It is a tough subject. I do not have it mastered. I do not. Transparent. Just saying. So here we are. This is part 1 today. Part 2, I'm going to extend it next week. So yay, we get to chat about this a lot. Last week's show, I had Jan Malik on, and we talked about exercise as we age and how super important it is to stay mobile and all those fun things. So we talked about it then. Then I was still thinking about it. So I wrote a blog about it. You can catch that on my website. Kat always puts my website up, 3 Wellness Pillars. So I wrote a blog about exercise sucks, which today, when we go over some of the questions that I'm going to give you to think about, they are written on there. So you can always go back to the blog and you can go through the questions. You can always re-listen to today's show to go through the questions. So I just want to provoke some thinking today, really. So if you're watching this live, just think about it, close your eyes, work through it, and you can always go back and answer the questions, which please do. I work through this stuff with all my clients one-on-one, and man, with my industry, it's never going to be solved. So it's like the oddest job security job. Like I really want to do a great, I get up every day wanting to change lives and help people, and they always change my life by me helping them. But it really is one of those things that we'll never master. And so it's kind of weird in the sense that it's never going to go away because we're human beings and we haven't got it mastered. I guess master is my word today, master of the master. So let's talk today about exercise sucks. So listen, I want to give you a little bit of a backstory. And I don't think I've ever in public for sure gone into this level of detail about my personal history. I've done bits and pieces of it. Definitely. But I want to give you some back history so that you can see that I really understand where you're coming from. I really understand when it's hard to get motivated and get off the couch, and how exercise changes in our lives depending on what happens, what comes up, whether you're sick or injured or huge project at work. But I want you to understand that I totally get it. And I come from an era where PE, physical education classes, it was mandatory. It wasn't optional. When my kids were going to school, it was started to become optional. And then it went away. I remember I was working for a high school in Grand Junction, Colorado, working with some overweight teens and who had body issues and stuff. And I remember going to the staff when they were getting ready to rule out and not have PE anymore. I said, here we go. We're going to be in trouble. And so in my day, it was like, hopefully you guys are at my age. You'll remember this and support me. We were told all the time, a million times, get outside, go outside and play. So we were outside. And we also always played sports, right? We were outside playing, building forts, and we were playing sports. Whether you were good at it or not, most people were playing sports. Today, though, I want you to think about, I'm not just doing this exercise topic because of one specific generation. I'm not. I have clients from 70 to in the teens right now. And I can tell you my post-millennials, my Gen Zs are struggling fitting into exercise as much as my 70-year-olds. So this topic really is about absolutely every single one of us. Okay, Peggy, so why is this a struggle? Well, if I was Jesus or the universe, I'd have all the answers for you. But sip of the coffee here. The main thing I want you to realize is that you have the answers. That's what's going to be eye-opening today, is that often I need to dig some of these answers out because we don't take the time to just sit around and go, oh my gosh, I have the answers. Let's sit down and figure this out. So I have to pull it out of you. But here's my backdrop for me. So I grew up with lots of sports, been involved in swimming since I was little, played all the sports, super busy. Quite frankly, got addicted to exercise in the sense I loved how it made me feel. I loved the camaraderie, the team environment, how, the championship feel when you had win championship state softball, 1982, Groveton High School, go team. Yeah, that was me. Good times, shortstop, loved it. Okay, so I was active in school. Active, went into competing and personal training and this whole industry that I've hovered in, blessed to hover in. But you guys, I never ever thought for 1 second of one day that I would never be able to not exercise, that something would be taken away from me. Never dawned on me. And in 2011, 2012, I had back-to-back car accidents, which I'd like to go on the record stating neither one was my fault. Irrelevant. So I had those car accidents and I had some serious injuries to my neck, mostly, and lower back. And it took away my ability to coach people safely. It took it away. I couldn't support. There was no way I could have a guy rack 400 pounds and be able to support him on any bench press ever again. So I had to, after 25 years, stop personally training others. And it took away a lot from me. So not just my career, my second income, or sometimes it was my first income back in the day. It took away that. It took away, not only helping people in a paycheck, it took away my motivation because I was going through a lot of medical stuff. And it took away the ability to have built into my life, strategically into my life, the have to. Well, I have to go to the gym. I'm training Sally, and after I train her, I'm going to work out. Or I'm teaching pump class tonight, and so I've got my workout in there. And so my approval to build that time for me to exercise in my life was my paycheck, was my addiction to it. And it was gone. It was all gone. So honestly, it took, this happened, 5-7 years ago. So it took probably the last 3 years that I have really had to try to figure out how the rest of my clients live in this world with how do you motivate yourself? How do you get off the couch? How do you go to the gym by yourself? How do you do that intensity, the frequency, the duration, what kind of music? And it has sucked. I'm saying that on air. Can I say that on air? I did. It's not fun. So today, what I want to just do is start off by saying to you, I get you. I know where you are, but I had the answers and I know you have the answers. I had to be my own client and pull this out. And that's what we're going to do. So 2 things happened for me. Number 1, I realized that I had to get addicted again to the outcome of why I exercised. Not the during, not the have to, not the, let's say, the study that said, oh, this many Americans aren't working out, or you need to because you're going to have heart disease. I had to stop listening to that because it wasn't working for me. It wasn't getting me off the couch. Wasn't making me positive and ride unicorns. So I had to let go of all of that. And I had to get to the place where I looked at the outcome, where when I did yoga or swam, I felt blank. I had to stop doing Zumba. I had to stop doing a lot of things, lifting the way I did. So I got addicted to the outcome. I feel better. I sleep better. I'm less grumpy. You guys out there, you know that. You moms know that you exercise regularly, you're less grumpy. I knew that my joints were happier. I was less sore. My strength was coming back. So that was the number one thing I learned. I had to get addicted to the outcome. The second thing is I had to not just have an accountability team, but this year, the second part of that, the more in-depth part of that I had to learn about myself is, yes, it's lovely to have an accountability team to say, oh my gosh, I'm going to swim 3 times this week or walk 3 times a week. Can I tell you, Lori, that I did? Send a check mark to her on my phone that I did it. That's nice. That's lovely. It wasn't that for me. I'd be honest, but I was like, yeah, so there we go. To-do list. Who cares? What I had to do is to receive permission, which sounds crazy. I get it. But I'm a workaholic because I love what I do, and it doesn't seem like work to me. So to take time out of my day when I didn't have to, and I wasn't receiving a paycheck to train or to help others, and I was now trying to get addicted to the outcome of how I felt, I would not allow myself to have the time each day to get up away from what I do for all you guys and go out and do blank. It almost stopped. Like I would go a week and a half, 2 weeks without even going for a walk. So this year I had a mentor that I'm working with, and she gave me permission that just said, get out there and do this. So you have to do this. This is how many days you're going to do it. And I don't care the way you do it, how long you do it, and report back to me. And it was different. So let's go through this stuff today. I want to there's 13 steps of this. I'm going to take you through. I want you to listen today. Some of you watching live, just watch and listen. If you can grab a pen, whatever, go through it. But I'd like you to come back and try it again on your own, and really work through it. It might only take you 15 minutes, and sometimes it might take 2 or 3, 4 weeks with my clients to try to figure some of this out. But the point is, please think about this. You really do have the answers. When I'm coaching, and I coach virtually now, unless I'm speaking to people or whatever in a setting, but I coach virtually, so I get to see your lovely little faces through Zoom. So when I am looking at my clients, I often, when they're circling around and they're starting to solve their own problems, I'll take my pen, and I'll usually, because I keep charts and a client chart, and I'm always writing stuff down, but I'll take my pen usually and put it up to my lips and just force myself to be quiet and listen, or I'll kind of pinch my lips sometimes, because I'll notice that the client is coming all the way around their story. They're reciting it out loud. They're doing the I probably shoulds, I know I shoulds, and they're starting to come up with a little bit of a solution. And so if I sit and listen, they say it. They lay it out. Beautifully. I couldn't have done it better because they know themselves better than even I do. Even though sometimes I can see it before they do, which I love that because they think I'm this medium and I'm not. I just see it. I love that part. So let's just work through some of this stuff. We have to dig deep. That's the yucky part. And you have to spend time with yourself. Ew. Yuck, gross sometimes, but just go off and have some coffee. Maybe you go through a couple of questions over the next week, but I just really want you to think about how you're thinking with the brain and how you're feeling with your heart or your body symptoms while you're going through this. I wore a shirt for you guys today, a little workout shirt, because we were talking about working out. So it says inspiration, determination, and motivation. So let's be inspired, determined, and motivate here. All right. So you're an expert. Ready? Ready to talk about this? So 13 steps. Here we go. Rub your hands together. Get your pen ready. 13 steps. So the first thing I want you to think about is exactly how you think, again, or feel about exercise in general. So that means maybe an example might be, ugh, I hate it. It sucks. Or it might be, I get too tired or I get too sore. So you're going to write down literally the first thing, number one, what you think about it and what you feel about it. And remember, those could be two different things. So some of you might actually have two parts to those, answers kind of to these questions. So first one, think or feel about exercise. I always think that it's hard to get started. It's just like, ugh, right? All right, number two, what do you think or feel about when you're preparing to exercise? So it's different than what you think or feel about the subject of exercise. This part, I want you to think about you're getting ready to. So even for those of you who have little tricks now in your toy box that you've learned over the years of, say, for instance, you lay out your clothes the night before, you put your gym bag by the front door. I actually have had some people I've worked with in Extreme Weight Loss, the TV show Extreme Weight Loss, a boot camp that we had at a university. And there were many times that the boot campers would actually wear their exercise clothes to bed that night so that they were dressed and ready to go. It was one of the tricks of the trade with those groups. So how are you thinking and feeling about preparing, getting ready? Yay. Ugh. Whatever. I have to. I want to give a disclaimer here first before you keep going. There are people who love exercise, are addicted to it, love it, have no problem with exercise. Okay? Absolutely. And I was in that group too. But I want you to recognize there are different things in life that steer us off the track, throw us off the wellness wagon. And when that happens, it can shift your relationship with exercise, like what happened to me. So we have this group of people who do a great job exercising and can stay on plan. Even easier sometimes than a diet, they stay on plan. But most of us, most people in what I have experienced can do a juice diet. They can do all this restrictive eating, way easier, more long-term than setting exercise habits in place. Seen it? So I'm not just setting this up saying that for those people who go, I love exercise, that you can't play along. I really want you to play along because at some point in time, these questions are going to mean something to you. So I want you to keep these in your hip pocket. You too are not going to be immune to this fun stuff. Okay, so the next one. Number three, I want you to think about the differences on how you feel about the differences or the feelings, thoughts and feelings you have about the differences of different types of exercise. So for instance, there are a lot of you out there, I work with chronotypes, so biorhythm sleep cycles. And so that puts people in different categories based off of what their sleep patterns are, their characteristics. I'm going somewhere with this. My examples are my bears love people, love to do group exercise, all those groupie kind of things. Whereas some of my dolphins or my other groups don't have a problem exercising on their own, hopping on a treadmill, doing those things all on their own. So I want you to just really think about number three again, or what are your thoughts and feelings about different types of exercise? Okay. You might write down Zumba, love it. Treadmill, hate it. Okay. Yes. Number four, what are you thinking and feeling about while you exercise? I don't know if you guys have really thought about that outside of when you're exercising. So there's the runner's high. We all get that. If you've had that, you're running along and you're like, yeah, and it kind of kicks in. You head into second gear, third gear, and you're like, man, why don't I do this all the time? This feels so great. So there's some of us who've experienced the runner's high. And if you've not ever had exercise as part of your life, hey, no judgment here. Does not mean you're a bad girl, bad boy. Lots of times it's just your history, what you've been exposed to, what you haven't. I don't care if you've sat on the couch for your whole entire life. I still want you to listen to this. So think about when you're exercising or moving, maybe even it's just squats up off the couch. Are you thinking about my heart's racing? I can't stand sweating. I need music blaring. What are you thinking about? What am I thinking about usually? Since my accidents, I was always hyper conscious of how I felt. Oh, this hurts my neck. Giving up Zumba, you guys, was like I had to have a burial. I literally had to have a burial because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I can't do Zumba anymore. But can't do that overhead stuff. You ready for number 5? 5. Okay. What are you thinking about during or after you exercise? I know the answer to this for probably 90. What are you thinking about when you're all done and feeling when you're all done? I'll tell you mine, which might be yours. I'm always like, what is my problem? Why don't I do this all the time? Nobody ever regrets it. I've never heard ever anybody say, oh, I regret that hour of lifting at the gym. Nobody ever regrets it. I regret going for that walk. So tell me what you're thinking about after, what you're feeling after you're all done. So that was question number 5. What we're going to do, so remember I said there's 13, lucky number 13 for some of you. I'm obviously not going to be done by the time we hit our commercial time. What I'm going to do though, after we hit commercial here in a few minutes, is I'm going to come back for what I usually call the after party. So after the 30-minute show, I always come back, answer some questions from my clients, maybe some other thoughts I have about what we chatted about. So when I come back, I'm going to give you the rest of these. So you have all 13 today. So when you listen back to it on YouTube or whatever, you'll have all 13. So don't feel like I'm not going to get to all of them today. Okay. Number 6, I want to know what your knowledge is. You have to you have to finally really sit down and write down what you know, because we know so much today. I'm telling you, peeps, the stuff we know, we're experts. If we really applied everything we know, you wouldn't need me. You wouldn't need a trainer. You wouldn't need all the equipment that you have at home. You know what the studies are, the white papers are. Most of you know how to somewhat do your ranges of motion, how to modify your activity. You know who to go to if you do have a question. Half of you could go through your own physical therapy. You got YouTube, So what I want you to do is to write down really, what do you know? Do you know the health benefits? Do you know what it does to your endorphins? So the longer that list is, I want it long. I want you to go into something, if you know a percentage of the population that works out and doesn't. Because according to the CDC, only 23% of Americans hit that 30-minute mark 5 days a week. So what do you know? Because there's a reason that I'm going to have you do that. You will see. So write it down. Write it down. I'm going to give you one more before we head into commercial. So what is the average length of time? This is probably one of the biggest questions that you're going to see is going to help us. What is the average length of time in days, weeks, months, whatever it is, that you stick to your activity plan? That if you say you're going to walk 3 days a week, are you only able to do that for 1 week and you're like, screw that? Are you able to do it for a month? Are you able to walk every day for 3 days? I need you to really think about that. Now, recognize that each exercise could be different. So you might be able to go to the gym for a longer period of time than you're able to walk outside. You need to figure that out. So I have my categories. If I were to go to the gym and do cardio on my own, I'm not going to do it as long as if I was swimming. It isn't going to happen. I can do that for a very, very long period of time and stay consistent. So think about it. Average length of time in days, weeks, or months that you're able to stay active. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to commercial. When you come back, I'm going to explain to you, I've got holiday series coming up. One of them starts Wednesday. So if you haven't grabbed your spot, you need to email me at coachpeggy@3wellnesspillars.com. When we come back, I'm going to give you a little bit more detail about them. And I'd really like you to head on over to my YouTube channel at 3 Wellness Pillars. You can find it with my name, Peggy Willms, 2 L's, and subscribe to my YouTube channel because all of my shows are uploaded there. You wouldn't have to search through Facebook, and you can go to my YouTube channel, or you can go to Transformation Talk Radio and find all my podcasts there. But if you head over to YouTube, you can find a bunch of fun stuff, videos. So read this blog, yes, on my website. Kat always has up my stuff. La, la, la. You're going to see my blog on there. That has these 13 questions on there. So we're going to go to commercial. When we come back, I'll hit the rest of these questions for you. And do not forget, next week, when we come back on Monday, 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, we're going to go through what in the heck are we going to do, part 2, with all this information we're talking about today. Exercise sucks. I know, I'm not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to say everything's awesome. Everything's awesome. But there's some reality to this. So we're going to rewire it, and I'm going to see you back here in just a few minutes. And then next week I'll see you because help is here, you guys. So I'll talk to you really soon. You are listening to Coach Couch and Coffee Radio with Coach Peggy. See you soon. Hey, you guys, welcome back to Coach Couch and Coffee Radio. Here we are having some coffee with my unicorn mug. This is a new one. I know you're going to say, hey, Peggy, you have that one. But my friend Monica, I know you're listening. This little rainbow tail, special, never had it. Thank you, my friend Monica. I am back talking to you about exercise sucks. Okay. We went through the first 6 questions before we went to break. We're going to go through 7 through 13. I'm going to brush over them. I want you to think about the answers on how you think and feel. All 13 are on my blog, on my website, 3wellnesspillars.com. And quickly, I just want to give you an overview of the 3 holiday series that I have coming up. One starts this Wednesday, you guys. This Wednesday, Holiday Gratitude. It is a virtual series. You do not have to leave home. Sit in your PJs. I do not care. You see all the lovely faces on the screen. October 16th through November 20th, Holiday Gratitude. We're going to work through that 5 weeks together. Then we go into holiday goals, and that's going to be December 4th through January 8th. Got to get through the holidays a little bit differently than just pounding through and getting those gifts and then being exhausted, right? So we're going to look at that a little bit differently. And then the 3rd series starts on January 15th to February 19th, and that's called Holiday Recovery. Good Lord. We got to get things situated and back to 2020 and get you back on track. So that's what the recovery is all about. And they're all virtual. Each series is $299 for 5 weeks. You have me. We have a closed Facebook site all together. It's secret, it's private. And if you do all 3 series, you get a discount. So email me at coachpeggy@3wellnesspillars.com because Santa Claus is coming to town. So we want to make sure that we are a team through that fun stuff. All right, we're going to bounce back up to question number 7. So we are talking again about how you think and how you feel about exercise. What I want to tell you guys is, remember, I said you have all the answers. You really do, deep down inside. The main thing is trying to figure out how you want to do it this time. Because this time is different than the last journey, and this time is going to be different than the next journey. However, the way you are in your past is often going to predict how you are in your future. So especially when that comes to habits or excuses. So if you've got a lot of things you see coming up in your past that are really repetitive or just tick, 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 not working for you, you gotta clean out the house and figure out what can work, because it's just going to be the exact same thing in your future. It really is. But what I want you to recognize is if you were a gym rat before and you're not now, welcome to my world. You can still be strong and fit and happy and healthy and do it your way. But it takes baby steps, and baby steps count. Walking every day for even 15 minutes counts. There are multiple studies out there that say you can break up your day. We no longer have to do the 60 minutes consecutively, the 30 minutes consecutively. There no longer do you have to get to a peak of exercise and stay there sustained in order to achieve blank benefit. Now, obviously, the more you work out and the more often you work out, depending on your nutrition plan, you'll lose weight, maintain weight, or gain weight. Many of us have to gain weight, right? So I want to say that you have to respect where you are, and it's very different. So these questions are today. They're now, how you feel, but you can't forget your past or it's going to predict your future. So here we go. Number 7, we had talked about before break because that was the average length, right? So we talked about the average length of time, days, weeks, months that you stick to an exercise plan. Let's go to number 8. Okay, what has worked to keep you active? So it could be a buddy. It could be an accountability plan or a partner, okay? It could be a person. It could be a group. It could be an anchor to, let's say, a calendar, okay? It could be an alarm system on your phone that says, work out, you go and you do it. It could be that type of an accountability. Some people just checking it off a calendar works. But what I want you to ask yourself is, what kept you active? And even if it's nothing kept you going for a long period of time, you need to write down nothing. So if you could only do it for a week and nothing kept you going, we got to figure out if you believe in your heart that nothing works for long term, because you got the answers. We're going to work through that next week. Yes. Okay. Number 9, if you have something that worked, let's say it's a buddy and accountability, I want to know why you stopped doing that. So for instance, me, I was doing a great job for years working out, had my accidents, that stopped me. Then for a period of time, I did really well. And then I kept being sore and hurt. Zumba was killing me. So I had to assess, Peggy, you're going to have to start giving up the things that just really hurt, even though you love them. You're going to have to start doing yoga and Pilates and all those things that I never wanted to do before because I didn't get a high out of it. I didn't think I saw results, so to speak. I had to flip my thought of what exercise was. Everything matters. Everything counts. But what stopped working? Here are some of the things I hear. I was doing really, really well, but then I get too sore, or I get too busy, or it gets too boring. So I want you to go ahead and put in number 9, what stops you from doing something when you're doing really well. Yes. Number 10. This one's fun. Number 10, are the excuses or whatever you wrote down for number 9, because they're excuses. Even for me, if I say I got too busy, it's excuse. Really? Your clients love you, need you so much that you can't work out. Really, Peggy? That's the biggest crap I've ever heard. No, you're not too busy. That's an excuse. So whatever you put in number 9, too busy, too sore, whatever, I want you to say in number 10, whether that's something that you always say. Is that something that is part of your past that's going to be part of your future? It just is. So we got to figure that out. Number 11, now I want you to look back over your history, and I want you to think about, what does it take to get you started again? And that's a serious question, because I really want you to think about how bad, quote unquote, how bad does it have to get before you say, that's it, I'm going to start working out again? Is it that you went to the doctor and they said, hey, Peggy, your blood pressure is just through the roof. That's it. Is it a number on the scale? Is it maybe a partner that you're with says, you're not quite as hot as you were before? Is it that you're sick and tired of having no strength or no flexibility, or how you feel in pants? You really need to figure out what happens, what feeling, what thought you have that it takes to get you started again. That's your roller coaster that you go on. It's just like a diet where we talk about yo-yo dieting. We yo-yo exercise. Yo. Okay. All right. So number 12, here's your come to Jesus story is what I call this. So the number 12 is to go back through your answers and to create kind of a story or a paragraph, like a letter to yourself. And I like you to even write it in the first person. So here's an example that I'm just going to make this up as I go along, but it might say, Dear Peggy, dear, come to Jesus, Peggy. For me, when I'm in the action of exercising, I love it. When it comes to getting ready to exercise, I hate it. It may say I like to do things with people or by myself or whatever. I like to have diversity. I like to have choices. Maybe my list says kayaking and swimming and walking and yoga. So whatever your story is, it might say, Peggy, that you need killer music. You have to have those beats per minute in the 150s. You got to be jamming, or you're going to just, when you're thinking about what you're doing, sometimes when you're exercising, it makes it miserable. I want to kind of think about the music. I want to think about being on stage with Bruno Mars. Love Bruno Mars. Okay. I always think about when I'm done that I never regret it. I'm always walking back from working out going, what is my problem? Like, I love that this is over. I did it. I'm not guilty anymore. So whatever your come to Jesus letter is, and in that, remember, I also want you to include, why do I have to keep waiting for my blood pressure to get bad or my lab results to get bad? You've got to see that in a paragraph, a little letter to yourself, that you got to see it, because you know the answers. I want you to see it now of what it takes for you to get started again, because you're ignoring these answers. You know that you just don't want to hear it. Sometimes it's so simple. We get so mad and so defensive because the people that are around us, maybe we're complaining to somebody, saying over and over, I got to work out, I got to do whatever. We get pissed because we know they're right. We know it. No one gets mad and defensive unless you know the person's right. Think about it. Otherwise, you're just like, whatever. That's not true. So whatever your story is. And then number 13, I want you to kind of come to some sort of a resolution, like a next step thing. So remember when I was telling you that when I'm listening to a client, I'll put my pen up to my lips, or I'll kind of hold my lips. That's when I'm really listening to them, because we're smarter when we talk out loud. I was just talking to Kat during the commercial, my producer. And when we talk out loud, even to ourselves, we are smarter. We process differently when we can hear ourselves externally. And when we talk to others, and it's kind of this banter back and forth, we're thinking, are they judging me? Maybe not. We are smarter. So if there's somebody you can bounce this off of, or even if you're saying it and reading it out loud, this letter to yourself, you're going to be smarter and find solutions. The 13th step of this is to try to figure out some next steps. I'm going to pull my sister into this without asking permission. So sis, if you're pissed off at me, know that this is coming from love. Much love. So my sister busts her can. She is single mom, 2 jobs, hardest working chick, seriously. And when we work together in a wellness journey, she will go right down the nutrition lane really well and just black and white and get back on track. And she likes me to tell her what to do. Tell me what to do. Boom, 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 just do it. No thinking. But when it comes to the exercise piece, and she likes to bike, you guys. She likes to bicycle outside, and she has an exercise bike in the house. When I asked her last week, I finished up a Fall into Fitness series, and that's where we try to increase everybody's baseline activity for 6 weeks. So it was a women's series. I said to all of them, what is the exercise that you love the most? Boom. She said it again. I knew she was going to say it. I like my bike. I like to bicycle. I like to be outside in nature. Bicycle, bicycle, bicycle. What are you doing? Nothing. And she's busting her ass, but at work. So my point is this, is that if you're not doing what you love to do, and you know that you like to do that for exercise, there is an obstacle there that we've got to figure out. So for her baby step, what I said to her is, do some squats while you're brushing your teeth. That's it for 1 week. Let the bicycle sit over there. Maybe that's part of a previous journey when you had one job. Let it sit over there. We'll get back to it. Let the dust collect. Who cares? Do squats while you're brushing your teeth for 2 minutes every day for this week, and let me know how you did. Because that's embedding a habit. She's going to keep that going. It's doable. It's attainable. It's concise. It will make a difference. You do 2 squats every single day, or 2 minutes of squats every single day. You write me and tell me that it didn't make a difference. So the baby step piece is this number 13. What can you do that's baby step? Maybe it's call a friend and go through these questions. Maybe it is to call somebody to be accountable to. Maybe it's to get outside and walk around the neighborhood every day. I want you to really think about a baby step, but here's the most important thing. If what you were doing before, even if you did it well, isn't working now, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't beat yourself up. Let it sit up on a shelf, collect dust for a minute, and stop. Do something simple, consistently enough. Go back up to that question where you said, I can only do it for 3 days, 1 week, or a month, and do that little tiny baby step thing for that long. Prove to yourself, prove to me you can do it. We just want the huge result. We want to be able to do what we did at 18. When we're 18, we don't know what it's going to feel like when we're 70. None of us believe these little tiny 2, 3, 5-minute things matter. And they do. Even if you can, after you're done, only say you did it. Isn't that better than not doing it and beating the crap out of yourself for not doing something yet again one more day? So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So this was part 1. Next week is part 2. You're going to come back on Monday night, Coach Couch and Coffee Radio. Yes, you are. It'd be wonderful if you bring back your answers so that we can go through kind of some of these next steps. I'm going to kind of brush over what we talked about this week. I have had several clients in the past that I've reached out with their obstacles and how they've gotten through things. So some testimonies that I'm going to bring back their story and share with you. I'm sure some of them will resonate with you. And if anyone wants to reach out to me via Facebook, direct, instant messenger, email me at coachpeggy@3wellnesspillars.com about this subject. If you're up against an obstacle yourself, we can work through this. I have every hope. I know you're stronger, braver, and smarter than even you believe. We just got to get you to believe it. So thank you for joining me. I always love coming at you guys, being with you guys. So I am going to let you go, and we'll see you next week. Exercise Sucks, part 2. Have a great week. See you soon.
Thank you for listening to Coach Couch and Coffee Radio with me, Coach Peggy Willms. Did you hear something that made you go, or have an aha moment? I live for those. If not, we will get you next time. I will be back every first and third Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific. The tough love you to become smarter, stronger, braver, healthier, and happier. Duh. I will be back with a barrel of positivity, and you never know when a guest might pop in. There is no time for excuses. So don't forget to bring your coffee and an open mind as we talk all things wellness on Coach Couch and Coffee Radio with me, Coach Peggy Willms. Now go grab a ray of sunshine.